What if unexplained fatigue, brain fog, or stubborn health issues that you're dealing with aren't just getting older or some type of food intolerance? But what if you have an actual hidden toxin overload? Toxins are everywhere. They're hard to avoid. They're in plastics, pesticides, herbicides, mold, and even the air we breathe. We can't avoid it. But for most people, they can detox effortlessly. But for others, these toxins can slowly accumulate and they can wreak havoc on your hormones, your energy, brain function. So if you've been dealing with chronic health issues, fatigue, mood swings, cognitive function, skin problems, toxins could be the missing piece of the puzzle. The Vibrant Wellness Total Tox Burden Test is one of the most comprehensive tests you can do to identify these hidden causes of your health issues. They look at environmental toxins, heavy metals, and mold or mycotoxins. And this can help to understand whether detoxifying is the priority for you or not. Now, I don't recommend this test as the first place to start. You want to check all the basic CBC, full blood count, vitamins, minerals, making sure they're not contributing to your health issues. Inflammation markers, for example. And if they come back normal or you improve those and you're still having health issues, then doing the total tox burden test would be a good next step. Let's break this down, what this test covers and why it matters for your health. So the first section of the total toxin burden test is the environmental toxins. And we can't avoid these in the environment. And many countries have banned these, like glyphosates and BPA. So the first section is phenols. So what are environmental phenols? They're found in plastics like BPA, antibacterial soaps, and cosmetics. They're widely used to prevent bacterial overgrowth, and they can enhance the product durability, so companies like to use them. But these phenols can mimic and block hormones, they can affect thyroid function, metabolism, and they're associated with fertility issues. And some of them are also increased to cancer risk like glyphosates. So how do we reduce the exposure to these plastics? So the best way to avoid exposure is to avoid plastic food containers, especially if you're adding hot food to plastic. That makes it worse. Going for natural care products, household cleaners that are chemical free is the first place to start. If you're reducing your exposure to these chemicals, you don't have to detoxify as much. The next section of the test are the herbicides, and these are weed-killing chemicals commonly used in conventional agriculture. But they don't just stay on the crops, they end up in our food and water supply. The most common one that people have probably heard of is glyphosate, and it's found in most conventional products, but this is banned in many countries around the world. It's known to cause damage to the gut microbiome, and in particular leaky gut. But it can also disrupt hormones and has an increased risk of cancer. So the best way, again, is to reduce exposure. And not everybody can afford to go 100% organic, but there's an online resource called the Dirty Dozen Clean 15. And if you focus on getting organic versions of the Dirty Dozen, that can be a good first step into reducing your exposure, not just to herbicides, but pesticides as well. The next marker on the environmental toxin test is difficult to pronounce, but it's glycine. And this is not a toxic chemical, but it's a mitochondrial marker. And if this is elevated, it's showing mitochondrial stress and damage, often from environmental toxins. So this can be relating to things like fatigue and your ability just to detoxify properly. The next section looks at these different industrial toxins. And these have all been shown once again to affect metabolism, hormones. They're found commonly in things like fire retardants, industrial solvents, chemicals, processed foods, and the water supply unfortunately is contaminated in a lot of areas from these industrial chemicals. So there's a common link how these environmental toxins will all affect hormones, and then that is linked to everything else in the body. And then they can also affect brain function as well as another common cause. So once again, they're found in furnitures, and so getting brand new furniture has been known to off-gas. So potentially buying secondhand or airing the house out or using air filters if you're buying new furniture to help process the toxins in the environment. So the next section is looking at parabens, and they're found in shampoos, lotions, deodorants, cosmetics, and even in processed foods. They prevent bacteria and mold from growing easily. But parabens can also be endocrine disruptors, and especially for women, they're putting a lot of cosmetics and chemicals on their body. They can affect estrogen production, leading to this imbalance in estrogen and progesterone, which increase risk of breast cancer, fertility, and just PMS and those types of symptoms. It's also they've also been connected to gut microbiome disruption and immune dysfunction. So once again, you got to read the labels and go for chemical-free, toxin-free environments. We can put some links to in the show notes to some good options. And pesticides, as we know, are used to kill bugs in the environment. But they can also, a bit like herbicides, end up in the water supply, our food, and then inside our body. So many of these pesticides are linked to hormone disruption again, metabolism problems, and gut microbiome. And once again, they can all lead to gut, fertility, hormone, cognitive, but also problems with weight loss. When people have a hormonal imbalance, that can make it more difficult to lose weight. There's more inflammation, higher levels of estrogens, and lower levels of things like thyroid hormone make weight loss difficult, even if you're doing all of the right things. The next section of the test looks at phytates, and they're found in plastics and once again cosmetics and even food packaging, which can get into the food itself. And the main concerns of phytates are their endocrine disruptors, meaning they interfere with hormones, fertility, metabolism again. They've been linked to insulin resistance, obesity, and lower testosterone levels in men. Once again, the key is to reduce exposure to these plastic food containers. Especially heating food or reheating food in plastic is really bad. And that can increase the absorption of these toxins into your body. So volatile organic compounds are released from paints and gasoline, cleaning supplies, and cigarette smoke. They're found in plastics, processed foods, and the biggest health concerns is, once again, they're linked to things like headaches, dizziness, respiratory issues, lung problems, liver damage, kidney issues. So they're classified as carcinogens, but they're still commonly found in the environment. So the best way to reduce exposure is to improve the indoor quality, opening windows, using air filters, avoiding synthetic air fresheners and scented candles. Some are better than others, and using certain paints could be low volatile organic compounds as well. So if you're repainting your house, using a better quality paint. Did you know that exposure to mold can silently affect your brain, hormones, immune function, even gut issues? And many people don't even realize that they're exposed to molds. That's why they're called a stealth toxin or a hidden toxin. And the Vibrant Wellness mycotoxin test can help to identify whether you are exposed to these toxins. But it's important to know that before the test, there's some key foods and things to avoid before the test, just so you don't get a false positive just from simple foods that you're eating. You want to find out the mycotoxin burden of your body, not just what you're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, because many people will be detoxifying that easily. Now let's break down what this test actually looks for and why the mycotoxin test matters. Aflatoxins are often from contaminated food, corn, grains, especially if they're exposed to water damage. And one of the most common ones is ochratoxin. This is also found in water damaged buildings, and that can affect kidneys, weaken the immune system, liver function, gut disruption. The next mold on the list is trichothecenes, and this is a toxic black mold byproduct. And it's often found in homes with water damaged buildings, and it leads to neurological damage, symptoms like also fatigue, autoimmune problems. Another mold, zearalenone, it affects hormones and it's an estrogen disruptor. And that's found also in foods, but it can also be found in water damaged buildings. So these types of molds cause brain fog, hormone imbalances, and immune suppression. And with the detox of mold, it's important to focus on not just improving phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification with things like glutathione and acetylcysteine, but you need binders like clay and charcoal to help bind and eliminate these molds out of the body. Once again, the best thing to do is reduce exposure, identify and fix water damaged buildings. But if you're the one that's affected by mold, trying to clean this yourself or remediate yourself is not the best thing. It could make you sicker. So with molds, because it's hard to know if you're affected or not, just because you're exposed to mold doesn't mean that you're going to have a mycotoxin issue. So the best thing to do is test, don't guess, and see if the mycotoxins are part of why you're not recovering from chronic health problems. So the next section is on heavy metals, and they can commonly affect brain issues again, which affects energy production, immune function. And this part of the test looks at heavy metals in the urine. There's an important thing to know here. There's no perfect test for heavy metals. And just because you may have low levels in the urine, it doesn't mean that you don't have a heavy metal problem in the body. There could be a big detoxification issue going on. So that's one caveat here that I'd like to mention. But if you do see high levels of heavy metals, that needs to be eliminated. You want to find out the cause or the exposure, what's causing this. And it could be from water, it could be from foods, it could be from the environment around you. So with that in mind, let's look at the most concerning metals on the heavy metal test for the Vibrant test. And this test is only looking at the heavy metals. It's not looking at some of the essential minerals like iron, zinc, magnesium. They're essential for all the body function when you have a high level. So the most common heavy metals in the environment are things like aluminium, and that's found in personal care products like antiperspirants, cookware, even some of the medications out there. That's linked to brain fog, Alzheimer's, and autoimmune type of problems. Lead, which is a known toxin, is found in old pipes, paints, and that can be affecting brain function again and cardiovascular health. So there's two different types of mercury. There's the mercury, like organic mercury, found in seafood. Then there's the inorganic, which is the most dangerous, and that's found in things like dental fillings. And it's linked to neurological issues, tremors, mood swings. And the Vibrant test is a good test to see if you have an issue. Probably the best test is the Quicksilver Scientific Tri test, because that measures blood, urine, and hair, give you an overall picture of your toxic load of mercury. Other types of heavy metals that can be commonly found are things like arsenic, which is found in rice and well water, pesticides, and that's linked to things like hormonal disruption. Cadmium from cigarettes, batteries, and air pollution affects kidneys, which is a major detox organ. So there's a number of other ones that are less common, and they all lead to the same sort of things. They lead to brain function, autoimmune problems, metabolism issues, energy problems. So identifying heavy metals and focusing on the detoxification is a key thing for good health. And heavy metals can tend to accumulate over time, and so it can be very subtle. And you may not realize it, that it's not like a sudden thing, like a big exposure to a mold problem or something like that. And so some of the natural ways to detoxify heavy metals, once again, is glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, sauna. But you always want to do binders to help bind the chemicals and remove them from the body. Reducing down your exposure to heavy metals by, once again, using environmental friendly cleaning products and cosmetics. Also reducing down things like aluminium cookware is a good place to start. And one of the main reasons they affect people differently is because of your genetics. Some people naturally detoxify well, and others, they may have minimal exposure, but they just have trouble eliminating them from the body. That's why two different people can be exposed to the same amount of toxins, and one person comes down with chronic health issues. Gut function is also another contributing factor too. If you're not eliminating toxins through the gut, that can lead to more symptoms. What you can do is a genetic test, and many people have done genetic tests through ancestry type of companies, 23andMe, Ancestry DNA, and you can upload these results to self-decode and get a really comprehensive analysis of your genetics, and more importantly, what steps you can do to improve that and improve your detoxability. Vibrant Wellness will also has a panel just for the genes associated with detoxification. So knowing which genes are affecting phase 1 of liver detoxification, phase 2 and phase 3 can really help you come up with a better plan to detoxify heavy metals, environmental toxins, and mold from your body. And if you need help with understanding your genetics at Planet Naturopath, I can help you run through your genes, analyze them through self-decode, and help you come up with a personalized detox plan based on your test results. So detoxifying is more than just taking glutathione. So if you're struggling with many of these symptoms, if you just jump straight into trying to improve detox through these detox kits, sometimes people can actually get worse, especially if you have constipation or high levels of beta-glucuronidase, which is a marker you can detect on the gut Zuma test. And what this means that once you detoxify through phase 1 and phase 2, if you've got high beta-glucuronidase, you can start to reabsorb those toxins back into the system. So understanding this is also another important part in detoxification. We'll talk more about that in another video where I go through all the different detox steps you can do to help you detoxify all of these different chemicals we're exposed to today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and happy to hear what you have to say.